Hi viewers, welcome to NCKHUB. If you like our videos, kindly do subscribe and follow us. Thank you.
Welcome back again to the Azure series. In this today's session, we are going to have a look into the very interesting and storage topic, which is a very easily understandable way we have created this initially with theory part. Next, after the continuation session, we will be continuing a storage service, how to create practically in the upcoming session in Azure. So, well, to start with into topic, Azure Storage Service. It is a platform which provides in terms of data storage, which is highly scalable, durable, and securely storing files, images, or accessible data objects. These Azure storage data objects are accessible from anywhere throughout the world over the HTTP, HTTPS, or API services like REST services. And you can also store these storage services in the client libraries data. For example, a developer has created a application or building an application in terms of .NET, Java, Python, they can store easily their data in the form of writing scripts by managing it data management in the form of tasks. So this is about Azure Storage Service, and we are going to next discussing about benefits of Azure Storage Service. These are highly durable and redundant across different data centers, and it is highly secure and scalable, managed and accessible. Into the data services blocks or storage services blocks, where these storage services in Azure are classified into different types, like object, where you can do store file, disk size, or storing in terms of queues and services. Likewise, you can do store it in different ways. Among these this is divided into blob storage, queue, table, file storage. So if you can speak about archiving the data, you can do store in archive as well. So likewise, we have multiple table services storing of the data as well. So this is about different types of storage services. So if we can showcase you in terms of a draw.io picture, so where we can have easily understandable ways. So this will be the blob storage as of now. The application which is there available to the end users, it is there in the internet and it is connected to the Azure DNS. This Azure DNS we are going to speak in the upcoming sessions. And this is passed via the cloud front WAF service. And this is being passed via the queues. So when these queues are working with a function application, the data is being called from red cache, and entire this box of service, which you can see application or functional service is going sending the data to the Azure, where it speaks with the Cosmos database. And finally, the data is being sending to the resource group, all are being managed. So while these are happening or working, the data, whichever it is there from the database of storage, the blob content, you can see static content and blob storage is being sending the data to the WAF. So this way, easily in this architecture, by looking into this, blob storage can be used in a highly scalable way, where it easily our data will be sent to the application or functional application to the WAF. So this way we can do understand the architecture of Azure, how to manage the storage. So well, coming back to understanding of different types of storage services. Initially, if we can see our presentation, if we can speak about first service of the storage is blob storage. Blob storage easily it can be used in different object storing with respect to storage by optimizing unstructured data, which can be a text or a binary data or images or logs. So this will be used in such a use cases like suppose your application is there which is already been migrated or it is planning for migration. You want to take a backup for the existing accounts. During that purpose or the use case, you can take the backup into the blob storage and restore the data later into the migrated services. Similarly, if you have a data lakes like Snowflake or else other database services, Databricks like that, if you are using for analytics of the data during those use cases, you can use the blob storage. And also for the video content or media content storage, videos or large files, you can utilize these blob storage in these use cases, backing up, restoring, and data lakes and media content storage like this. So if we can speak about features, what blob storage will provide is we will be having archive tiers where for cost optimization we can use a hot on cool, not like this is a hot. It is just a which will be speaking with in terms of Azure services of storing the data, which is cool, or the storing the data of features. Similarly, like it supports the features like REST API, development kits, and also Storage Explorer. So this is one of the object storing in terms of blob storage, which can be accessed via the HTTP or HTTPS, and we can do manage the storage services via the libraries in multiple range of languages. Example, if you can take .NET, Java, Python like that. So clients can easily securely connect to this blob storage by using SFTP protocol. That is one thing which I want to add. And blob store containers, we can do manage these network file systems as well, where we have certain protocols as well, 2.0, 3.4 in NFS. Those also we can do manage and use in blob storage. Next, if we can speak about the next storage service where file management, we are having actually files like you will be hearing an NetApp files or enterprise classic high performance files. If you have a project which needs to be migrate with directly same files needs to be moved and needs to be placed from old to new application. During that use case, the file storage is easily useful and accessible. In the previous blob storage, I told you about NFS. So this NFS applies into rather than blob storage, you can also opt for 3.0 of NFS here also in file storage, where you can utilize and use this with the latest protocol. Like in blob storage, you can map your file storage service in these Azure files. So these Azure files also speak about the network files data which are easily accessed by the industry. Example, you can speak about message blocks. That is the one which you can which you can see server message block. This server message block will be highly useful in terms of common internet file system protocols like determining the network or file and record locking. If you have any files record locked, file and directory management, during those easily you can do share the data by using this file storage. The use cases, if I can talk about lift and shift migration, we can do use from old to new migration. Whenever you are planning on doing it, you can use this file storage. Similarly, file sharing across different distributed systems. Similarly, you can see the features of this. You can use this file storage either in Windows, Linux, or Mac, anywhere. And you can easily integrate this file syncing. Suppose you are having a on-premise and you want to sync few files to the hybrid or cloud, you can easily sync the files. So this is one of the storage service of file storage after the blob storage. Now, if we can speak about queue, queue also plays a very crucial storage example. For example, if you are booking a book my show ticket. So in that, when a movie is released, for example, if you can think about a Bahubali movie, during that point of time, you can observe when the movie was released, booking the ticket, even the queue number of resources are being booking the ticket. When the tickets are not available, but the queue size of the server, depending upon this, it will be very large. So during that large volumes of hitting the messages and receiving the messages or applying to the server, this asynchronous communication, during those point of time, you can manage this queue service. Queue service is highly used to store and retrieve messages in terms of booking or payments. You can see example. Similarly, when these use cases will be useful like book my show I said, and During the payment of the salaries, multiple times messages will be triggered. You can use this use case in microservices and distributed systems. The features, if you can speak about enqueuing and dequeuing, REST API services you can do use, not like web application. You can use this in microservices when in terms of REST APIs. Similarly, if we have a stored messages, by default, it can store 1 week of data. So this is a very good and useful service where we are implementing a microservice. Next, if we can speak about another storage services, that is a table storage, and later followed by disk storage is also there. Table storage is like a NoSQL database. It is like a semi-structured data. Structured data, if we can speak about block storage, there it is useful. It is semi-structured. That means partially it is useful in terms of NoSQL key values to store their semi-structured data. These semi-structured data use cases for table storage is storing metadata, and this application of table data storage is easily useful for mobile applications or gaming applications like that. And it has highly scalable applications like gaming, which I said. And another one is like mobile application, mobile devices like that. And features like you can use this application OData and also line queue queries. So similarly, guys, with managed service of this disk storage, you can use this virtual hard disk. You can think of it is like a physical disk. Either it can be an on-premise, or if you want to manage this with Azure managed service, you need to store the pages in terms of blobs altogether. It is a semi blob storage, which I can say. So that is about table storage, guys. But you have to remember one more thing. It is quite expensive and highly scalable, but it is quite expensive. But the storage, work-wise, it works very fast, very fast. Coming to the disk storage, normally you can see our C drive, E drive, F drive like that. So we are having in storage point of view in Azure, HDD, SSD, and premium SSD. So these HDD or disk storage drives, which virtually we can do use this in on-premise, and also the mounted servers or deployed servers, you can do use this like virtual machines. This is easily understandable, and you can use this in databases with higher throughput and higher latency. Those use cases you can do use. This is just like a persistent storage. So next after that one, this one is data lake storage. So if we can see, all these are, first I want to, one more thing I want to, all these are encrypted. So highly secured. That is one thing which I want to convey you all. Now coming to the data lake storage, it is used for big data applications and Power BI or else big data machine learning like this Databricks or Snowflake, large amount of data where you can use Databricks, Azure Synapse, or storing large amount of data. During those use cases, this data lake is used, and it is hierarchical file systems with blob storage, and this is highly secured with the access control lists. So that is one thing. Next one is archive storage. So archive storage, it is a if you have a long-term data which needs to be archived, it is a cost-effective resource or a service, but it is useful highly depending on the requirement. Like if you need a disaster recovery, like DR, which we can do call as highest amount of backups you want to take. Disaster recovery if you are planning, and if you are planning for any security or penetration testing during that point of time, something happens to one of the servers, if it is bombed out or something has happened during that point of time, you can use this disaster recovery use case, and it is highly compliance data like that. And features like lowest option for storage and rarely accessed for design. And next one is managed disk, where these managed disks are depending upon the client requirement or the project requirement. We can use for auto scaling and attaching and detaching of the virtual machines. We can add managed disks. Explorer tool. Next one is this is one of the tool where Azure provides. This is used for web applications like Azure Storage with respect to free graphical user interface, which you can do upload and download files, and you can do easily manage your all the tables, queues, and blob containers in this Storage Explorer tool. This is like a software application where you can do use. Finally, coming to the comparison table, if you can see, the best use for purposes will be like for each and every storage. If we can speak about, first one is blob storage. It is used for media, like media content, backups, logs. Similarly, files storing, file sharing, if we can use file storage. Queue services, asynchronous communication we can use. And if you are using for gaming applications, then you can usually prefer table storage. In virtual machines and databases, you can use a disk storage. Likewise, if you want to access and use data lake storage for high amount of large sets of data, you can go for a data lake storage. Similarly, archive. If you are archiving and you need a high amount of backup, and if you want to go for disaster recovery, you can do prefer best used for rarely accessed data, archiving storage. And use cases, if we can, already we have discussed. I just want to summarize use cases: image or video content for blob storage, and application storage with file storage. Similarly, decoupling microservices, queue storage you can use. And table storage is used for semi-structured data. And critical workloads, disk storage. And gaming applications, data lake storage. Archiving the data for compliance, etc. So if we can speak about which can be used for big data, messaging, or large amount of data. In a short note, blob storage is unstructured, and semi-structured, or uh, with we can already discussed with respect to the disk storage, like persistent disks. And messaging, if you want, queue services, queue storage, and shared file storage, big amount of data lake. So likewise, if you want to know about the types of usages also, likewise I have created comparison table, you can go through this. So this is about understanding how a storage can be maintained in an Azure. This is completely a theory part. In the coming next upcoming video, we will be discussing about each by each how to create a storage account and how we can practically manage easily. For a beginner, we try to understand in an easy way. I hope our videos are giving a good learning for you for a beginners, and we encourage you to please subscribe and like our channel.